The murky world of facts, disinformation, fact-checking. Who's got a fact? Does it matter? In fact, I don't know. The Jim and Terry Show without Jim for another few podcasts. This time it's because our regularly scheduled program has a conflict, and it's in well-doing. It's now that, well, both Jim and I do this. We use some of our retirement time to help others in our communities, in our groups of associations and friends that we know. In my case, I have to chauffeur a friend in need to a hospital appointment. So that has called into question a conflict with the Jim and Terry Show's podcasting schedule. Stay tuned. No doubt we'll be back at it soon. In the meantime, waxing eloquent on things that I have found interesting. I don't claim to know the facts, and I'm not sure even that we can, in this digital world, know the absolute fact of anything. But fact-checking is still important. One of the biggest facts to be checked this week in American politics, I'll start there and then I'll move on to international, is the claims by, I think it's Congressman, I hope he's not a senator, Mike Lee, Republican, of course, and I say that with all intended skepticism and derision. I don't know, maybe a modicum of hope that there might be change, but Republicanism is not your grandfather's Republican Party. It is as close to a cult as you can get, in that Donald Trump is likely to be the leader. Someone with 91 charges, 2 impeachments, convictions of, I think you could say he was convicted of rape. And you can say also that he was convicted of, or his business was, of misusing charitable funds. And that's still not even getting to the big ones that are ongoing court cases. And if that's your leader of your party, what does it say about you and your party? What does it say about people who vote and still intend to vote for Trump? I think it says a lot, and we have reason to sound the alarms. And if Jim was here, he'd be talking about, remember I told you, civil war, civil war. I'm hoping that's not the case, but certainly a second administration of Trump would destroy, in my opinion, democracy in America, and it would be the end of the U.S. as we know it, and I don't feel fine. Well, that's just one thing. Check Mike Lee. Check Mike Lee, and check out, who's the new Speaker of the House? He's also a Michael, if I'm not mistaken. A fellow who's released, remember this, when Fox News gave 40,000 hours of videotape to Tucker Carlson? Did you ever hear any follow-up on that? Well, apparently the new Republican committee investigating the weaponizing of the government has released what I would call, what most people who look at things logically, the cherry-picked, out of 10 seconds you show 6, out of a minute you show 30 seconds, out of 40,000 hours you show less than 2 minutes of edited video. Yeah, with the claim, it was a picnic on January 6th. Nothing happened, nothing to see here, folks. Much ado about nothing is the Republican claim, and that's being put forward by the Christian, devout. We have some questions about him. Speaker of the House. I'm hoping he won't be Speaker for long. I'm hoping there will be a turnover. How madness gets to leadership, I don't know. How the 100 and some odd congressmen and senators who voted to overturn the election are still serving is beyond me. Something is broken. I'm not sure how to fix it, except elections, get out and vote. And even then it doesn't matter if you can gerrymander your ridings, if you can influence how elections are conducted, if you can challenge the results of elections, even when they're not even close, then something is broken that may be difficult to fix just by elections. I'm not sure what the answer is, but it's all over the place. So there's where I start. American politics, republicanism, yeah. And then we can go on into the international scene and talk about I think it's called the El Shifa Hospital in Palestine. And the big controversy now is, were there bunkers or no bunkers? And if there were bunkers, were they Hamas bunkers or were they Israeli bunkers under the hospital? Controversy seems to go on under the hospital. The hospital is, of course, on the surface operating as a hospital should, with patients being seen, treatments being given, and emergencies being dealt with and managed. But does it get more complicated than that when you have the claims of, and evidence of this goes on to other public buildings, weapons caches, of secret tunnels? Yeah, it gets complicated to know what's what. The Israeli claim, of course, is that headquarters were there, Hamas headquarters, which is the axis of evil headquarters, the highways and byways of 500 kilometers underground tunnel network of weapons movement, troop movement, guerrilla movement. Yeah, it's sort of like a catch-me-if-you-can Hamas guerrilla-style warfare versus the boots-on-the-ground, traditional above-ground bombing and follow-up with boots on the ground. Snipers hidden in wreckage, yeah, that kind of stuff still makes it dangerous to do what people are asking for. Ceasefire. Ceasefire? Who would respect the ceasefire? So many questions. And how do we get to the bottom of it? And the final question is always, does it matter? People are dying. Does that matter? Of course it matters. People are dying on, dare I say it, I hate this word, both sides. Yes, they are. Is there any realm of ethics, any kind of ethical thinking that says that it's okay to carry on the war, a battle, when civilians are being killed? Is there anything outside of say the nation state's right to defend itself, which would be Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas, which is not a nation state, it is a terrorist group. I'm not sure that you get beyond that, because the crimes against humanity, if crimes are killing innocent lives, then crimes are being committed, and we have to deal with that. You might try to justify it under international law and nation law about right to defend yourself. But people are still dying, and we never want to lose sight of that. That said, when you put RPGs in a hospital, when you put grenades and missiles and launchers in mosques, when you put weapons caches in children's schools, there is a problem. And I think that problem makes what is happening really complex, and I am loath to judge Israel for its tactics when this is the tactic chosen by Hamas. So you can agree or disagree right in the comments. I think it's a thorny issue, but I am beginning to wonder about things that the left, and I'm a lefty, have claimed for so long, which is, free the oppressed, lift up the downtrodden, support those who are less fortunate than ourselves, and always be on the cause of the underdog. I'm starting to wonder about that. What's giving me pause? Well, things like the United Nations. I'm going to say UNRWA, and I'm not even sure. I think it's United Nations Relief and Works Agency, conducting what should be humanitarian endeavors in Palestine, in Gaza. Ostensibly, things like education would be under there, and hospital treatment would also be under UNRWA's mandate. What I'm questioning is whether there was knowledge of Hamas and its intentions and operations by United Nations organizations before before October 7th? Was there knowledge of UNRWA's medical staff, knowing that the hostages were making their way to the Al-Shifa hospital? To what extent is knowledge complicity? If you don't say anything, is it because you fear for your own life? Hamas will kill you if you say anything? Well, that is exactly the fear, I think. And I'm not judging that. I'm wondering, just to what extent that goes on. I have no way of knowing. So I'm just questioning at this point and hoping to dig a little deeper and find information. But UNRWA, what about schools? There have been clips surfacing of children, Muslim kids, Palestinian kids, children. When I say children, I mean like 5, 6, primary grades, 5 or 6 years old, being taught, what do we call these? We used to call them plays, but they're more like practicing, taking knives and weapons and shooting Jews as a school play, a pageant. Let's kill Jews. So I'm wondering about the whole extent to which United Nations, UNRWA, is complicit in spreading anti-Semitism in Gaza. I'm not sure where I'm going with all that, except to raise a question saying, how much did the United Nations know and turn a blind eye to with Hamas in Gaza for the past nearly 20 years? And to what extent did Israel build the stuff under the hospital? Can we find that out? Israel did help build the hospital, did help build some subsurface passageways so that in the event of bombing, I guess, or attack, the staff and patients could still maintain health and treatment. But I'm not sure. The recent one by Christiana Amanpour on CNN about former Israeli Prime Minister saying that we built the tunnels. I'm not sure that that's an accurate statement, because Hamas is ultimately responsible for the use and operation of whatever there was under the ground. It gets complicated. How do you find the truth? Fact-checking. Stay tuned. We'll be fact-checking Elon Musk and anti-Semitism on X coming up. Bye-bye.